for someday? Ready to finally start living your best life right now?
You're in the right place. I'm David.
And I'm Wendy.
And this is the David and Wendy podcast. We're your life coaches here to move you from the excuses to action.
From mastering your mindset to finding real joy, we're keeping it real, raw, and maybe just a little ridiculous.
Let's get into it, Wendy.
Let's go, David.
Welcome back to the David and Wendy podcast. This week we are discussing why people make habitual excuses.
Yes, I'm sure we all know someone, a family member, a friend, a coworker, ourselves, or a student who seems to make habitual excuses for everything. Do you find it extremely annoying? Well, today we are going to discuss some reasons why people do this. In a nutshell, most excuses are based on fear. And I don't know if some of our listeners have heard, but there's an acronym for fear. False evidence appearing real. And I'm not sure who coined that phrase, but it's definitely accurate for sure. Many times we don't have real evidence that really would support our fear. Often it's something that we've made up in our heads, which stems from our programming. And I don't know if all of our listeners remember, but this programming starts at a very young age. Or we're living from the past, or we're worrying about the future. And these all are what support that fear generally. So what we are working to understand here is, why are excuses used? Are there, how do we benefit from them? I mean, are we getting some kind of benefit from them? Are we avoiding something that we're fearful of? Or we're not feeling up to doing something, so we use the excuse? So what we feel that is a benefit in the moment may actually create an issue later on, like missing a deadline. I'm sure we've all had this happen. Then we see, if we decide to look, that putting it off wasn't actually a benefit at all. Sometimes we see the problem of not completing the task when needed, and we still make an excuse to put it off. Imagine that. So why is it that we do it? Why do we make excuses? So David, where do you stand on this? What are your views?
Okay, well, so for first, kind of a disclaimer, right? The subject is quite wide ranging and deep. And by that I mean, we just couldn't cover all the possible scenarios in one podcast. As you might imagine, you're thinking, well, I use excuses, or I know somebody else uses excuses, and it's just there's no fear involved. Well, like I said, it's a deeper subject, and it's quite wide ranging in that.
Yes.
All our thought, all the, we're not privy to all the things we think we are privy to. In other words, all the stuff running in the unconscious. Back to the box, right? Our box has all the things we think are possible, probable, or impossible, right? Else as well. So we make choices, or choices are made for us by our subconscious based on the options in that box. Mm. So this is kind of exploring fears. So all that said is, in one way, excuses can actually be fears, and those what that brings up can actually work as a check valve for you. So the real bottom line here is to practice being aware of your automated processes. Again, like I talk about tying your shoes, right? Try doing it backwards. Try doing it the other way. Or try putting on your pants. If you notice you put your pants on always the first leg, same leg the first time every time, try doing that different. This makes you aware of your automations, how automated things really are that we're not even aware of. Um, so the check valve aspect of this is when you think about something that you want to be, do, or have, and then a thought pops up like, I don't have enough, and then fill in the blank, right? Time, energy, knowledge, money, experience, contacts, resources, or whatever. Um, that all comes from your box. That's where the the source of that is, which is simply your beliefs and expectations that have evolved based on your experience. So your options are limited by that. However, when that when those comes up, when those thoughts come up, whether you say it in your head or whether you say it out loud, pay attention, because that is telling you what's in your box. That is telling you what you have to work with.
Mm.
So, like for instance, this one, no, none of our listeners probably have that would use this excuse, but somebody out there does. Uh, I don't have enough money to whatever it is, whatever you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, so then the practice, because that can come out automatically. It can come out as such a subtle thought that it's more of a feeling actually than actually, well formed words or well formed voice. It's more of it can be simply a feeling like,
Mm.
ugh, right? Which means I don't have enough money to do that. That's expensive, or whatever that is.
Right.
The practice is to pay attention to how you react to these things.
Mm.
And if your reaction is I don't have enough money, then the you question that,
Mm-hmm.
but not in a defensive way, right? Just in a curious way. You just get curious about it, and it's like, but what if I? What would it be like if I did have enough money, right? And then
Right.
just brainstorm on all those things. Um, that starts to move the dial based on the belief and expectation machine. That's how we start to move the dial towards what we want. So just brainstorm on it. You don't even you can even confirm like, yeah, I don't have enough money, and that's fine. But what would it be like if I did? Right? You're not committing to anything. You're
Right.
just curious. You're just looking into it,
Mm.
and then start doing the visualizations. Right? Start talking. Oh yeah, I do this and that, and again, this is where you could write all that stuff down to
Mm.
question as well, right? And or to use as an exploration and creating a daydream. Um, but it's just allow your mind to explore what it would be like um, if whatever that excuse or fear was not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then ask yourself, and this is another key place, another key motivator is, why do I want this?
Uh,
And look into, is it going to make you feel, you think it's going to make you feel a certain way? Is it a fun thing? Is it a desperation thing? What is it? And just explore those thoughts. Um, and just as that comes up, you will start to become more clear about and understand, more about the fear, because as you open up to it, those little thoughts will come in, and
mm-hmm.
you'll get more definition to the fear, which means you can question it more. And sometimes you're going to say, oh wait, that's not really even true anymore, to
Right.
some thoughts, right? So
Yeah.
you start to open the door to allowing the realization
Mm.
of whatever this, you know be, do, or have thing is. And if you keep it up, you'll see how it starts to feel, the idea of having that is easier to hold, and the ideas in exploring it will grow,
Mhm.
and that can, you know, if it's something you really want, then it can really become a thing.
Absolutely.
So, right? So it's,
Yeah.
I mean, we've done this before, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
that everybody has done this before.
Yeah.
Um,
I can think of several episodes or, several times when this has happened in my life. Yes. Yep.
yeah, yeah. You just start playing with it, and you're like, oh yeah, sure, no, that's not a thing, but
Mhm.
boy, it would be fun if it was. Boy, I'd go do this and I'd do that and then all this, and you just keep playing with it,
Mhm.
and then it starts to gain ground, and then, you know, some of the fears about that we have about is that we don't know part of the process or how it would work out or whatever. But as you start to become more familiar, just by simply saying what but what would it be like,
Right.
you start answering those questions for the unconscious,
Mm.
and it starts to become more more possible. You know, excuses are are can be a great insight to our box of beliefs and expectations, right? Our
Mhm.
hesitations into the unknown or the unbelieved. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, David, that when you're talking about this, two things that come up for me, and one is just what we're doing now with this podcast and my whole life coaching dream. I for a few years made excuses of why this isn't going to work, and even if I didn't verbalize them in my head, that self talk, right?
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, once I started to change that self talk and I said, what if I do? What if I can do this? I am doing this. And then each opportunity kept presenting itself. And next
Right.
thing you know, here I am. I mean, I've got my website designed. We're doing this podcast and we're in month, what, 3? I mean, yeah,
Right.
things are just happening. But yeah, so it's the first step I heard you mention is that acknowledging that awareness, having an awareness of that this is even happening, these excuses, right?
Right. Right.
Which we talk about often. And then, and then changing, like you said, the dialogue in our head. What if? And then the visualization starts and feeling into what it is we want, be, do, or have. So excellent topic this week. So
Yeah, I just let me throw one last thing in.
absolutely.
There's an excellent podcast out there, the telepathy tapes,
Oh yes.
and in season 2, um, it's episode 30. I recommend starting with season 1 and going all the way through. It's incredible, but season 2, episode 30 explains this through a
Mm,
process that this woman is goes through, and all the impossibilities that she sees before she even gets started.
yes. Wow.
So, I've shared it with some people because it's
Mhm.
such a great example to listen to her process, starting
Yes.
from there's no possible way
Mm,
to it falling out, coming coming through. It's I mean, the podcast just came out, May 20th,
mm.
just a few days ago, and this woman is, well, I'll let you listen to it. No spoiler alert, right?
Yeah.
I don't wanna put any spoilers out there. So,
Right.
it it truly supports this. It supports the
Ex
excuses,
Yeah.
right? It supports the, "Yeah, but what if"
Right.
scenarios. It's really illustrative of this subject. Anyway, go ahead,
Well,
sorry.
yeah, no, thank you for sharing that, David. I haven't listened to all of the telepathy tape podcasts, but I've listened to several and they're very interesting. And these are excellent. Thank you for sharing that, David, because that's an excellent resource for our listeners to, just help us to help them understand even more, of
Right.
these things that we're talking about. So excellent.
It's a case study, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. It is. Yes. So we encourage our listeners to listen there. Okay, well, this brings us to our topic for next week. What you see is what you get. Hmm. The reticular activating system. or RAS, is working for you 24/7 and shows you what you are looking for.
All right, that's the show for this week. We hope you are feeling motivated like you're ready to take on the world.
If you got value today, do us a huge favor. Like and subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us reach more people just like you.
You can find all our info in the show notes and connect with us at our website, thedavidandwendypodcast.com.
We'll see you next week. And remember, always be kind, loving, and compassionate to everyone you meet.